For families dealing with addiction, stigma and shame can keep them from seeking help. Often, families are afraid of being judged and criticized.
The shame was really hard for me at first, and the embarrassment, because I'm the type of person who, even though I have a career that kind of is high profile, I like my privacy. I don't like everybody knowing what's going on with me. And it was so hard when things became public. For instance, there was a time when police cars showed up at our house, and then the neighbors knew. When I started working with her, trying to help her get help, going to AA meetings with her, I never thought I would be in an AA meeting. It was so nerve-wracking and kind of embarrassing for me to do that. Eventually, I got to the point where I thought, none of this matters. What matters is getting her better. There are people who are going to judge and have their own opinions about how things should be done, and that's fine as long as they keep it to themselves.
With a son who has addictions, and especially in a small town like Jackson, Mississippi, I see him on the streets. His daughter sees him, or is afraid that she will see him because now she knows, that he is homeless. You just learn to accept it. But I really do feel for her because she tries to hide it from her peers. We went to a parade and she saw him there, and all of a sudden turned and walked the other way and acted like she didn't see him.
I think there's so much stigma and shame associated with a condition that they're not going to go into their church setting or their doctor and say somebody's addicted in their family. What do I do?
The worst thing you can do, we've come to find out, is to keep this to yourself. And shame will cause you to do that. And there are people who are more than willing and more than capable of sharing with you and comforting you, coming alongside, offering very practical advice. So don't let the trick of shame interfere with your process of getting your loved one or yourself some help.
I'm a nurse and I'm an alcoholic and addict. It doesn't matter if you're educated, white, black, girl, boy, young, old. It can happen to anybody.
Knowledge is instrumental if the stigma and shame of addiction is to be lifted. First, we need to accept that addiction is a disease. Second, we need to understand the factors that lead to addiction. And above all, we need to recognize that no person is without flaws.